All right, we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MMA Advocates presented by CrossBonesMMA. My name is Eddie Law. This is week 2 of Trump's America, as we have been talking about before the shit even started. From Dayton, Ohio, we got Mr. Fred Kirby. Out of ABQ, of course, Dave Rodriguez. And all the way from the other side of the Atlantic, Mr. Andrew Reed. All right, so obviously UFC 205 went down this week. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
You realize that because Trump is president, I am now the most powerful man on this show. Andrew, you don't count because you're foreign.
You wish.
Sadly enough, you other two cocksuckers are brown, or you're goddamn fired, boys.
What's the heritage of most Americans?
It's not important.
Naturalized Americans, not like immigrants and stuff like that. What's the heritage? Dutch,
yeah, we know,
French, Spanish, English. So you're European anyway, so you can shut up.
Yeah, man, you and your man, but shut the fuck up. All right, let's start off at UFC 205. Obviously, we're gonna get to the Conor being double champ, whatever he wants to call himself. But let's start off real quick with the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. Finally comes back, right? Second fight is coming back, and he dominated Michael Johnson. It wasn't even fair. Johnson did not belong in there. The wrestling was really, really good, but I don't know, Kirby. When Johnson cracked him with that one punch, you think he was hurt?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think he was super stunned, but I think he was hurt a little bit. But I tell you what, that's even more impressive by fucking Khabib, right? Mm-hmm. Michael Johnson fucking punches hard as shit. He took one early in the first round, ate it, and still put him on his ass and dominated him. I feel like Khabib almost couldn't have had a better performance. It was almost better that he got socked because you got to see what he looks like. He actually got wobbled a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And still fought right through it and dominated him. I mean, Khabib's grappling is fucking amazing to watch, man. Because like I say, being MMA fans, most of us are used to seeing like either, traditional American style wrestling or like BJJ. And the shit that Khabib does is a little different. You know what I'm saying? Like how he was controlling Michael Johnson's wrist and kind of like fucking momentum and like jerking him into the punch. That shit was fucking amazing, dude. Khabib's fucking grappling is probably the best in the UFC, like bar none, including Damian Maia. It was fucking incredible. And the fact that he got socked don't mean shit to me. I think that just adds to his performance, quite frankly.
Yeah, and look, and now people are obviously going to talk about who's going to fight for the 155 belt next and all this other shit. We'll get to that in a little bit. Obviously, Khabib is one of the bigger options, I think. A lot of people disagree with that. A lot of people think it's going to be somebody else, but we'll get to that in a second. Dave, seeing Khabib come back like that, he didn't get in. Obviously he's supposedly not injured. He kept pinning, Michael Johnson's arm down and dropping the ground and pound. And then of course we all felt bad for Michael Johnson. Khabib comes out today and says he wants a title shot, right? And if he doesn't get it, he's going to quit the UFC. Yeah. Can the UFC afford to let him go?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I like that Khabib was very vocal on the mic, as we all alluded to on previous episodes, that Khabib must say Conor's name. He must state his case, in which the performance played out best case scenario. Like Fred said, he got clipped a couple times. Michael Johnson known to be, pretty fierce, top striker in that 55 division. So when Khabib implemented his wrestling, his grappling, it's just uncharted territory when you're there with that man. It was a complete mauling. As I thought the fight would go, I thought Michael Johnson would land his shots in the fight, which he did. What made the fight just super interesting, a lot of people just found out after the fact. During the fight, while it's going on, Khabib was turning around and talking to Dana and telling him, chirping at him, telling him, I want my shot. Don't be sending me these fake contracts. So Khabib was, he did his part, man. He delivered on a big card. I like that he kind of said that they're shying him away from the media. They didn't have him at the post presser, so they're kind of just like hiding him away. But it was a test for him at 55. Michael Johnson, an elite striker. He passed with flying colors, as I predicted. 23-win fight streak against a 9-fight Tony Ferguson streak is what he was saying. And I kind of Khabib's the guy, man. You got to give him that shot. He said he'd fight him wherever, UFC Brooklyn, Ireland, Russia, you name it. He said it doesn't matter to him, so he's ready to go. Khabib's shot is coming soon, I believe. If the Woodley fight happens, hey, we all know it's about the money, but this is the best versus the best at 155. So if Conor's the new king, he's got to go through the Russian bear, and which I'll take Khabib Nurmagomedov in that fight all day, every day.
Yeah, and you know, Andy, Dave referred to it right now, talking about going to Russia. UFC's been talking about going to Russia. They're supposed to be going soon. You got to have Khabib on that card, but Khabib's saying it's got to be a title shot. I mean, is that even possible in your eyes to get McGregor to agree to that?
I don't know. I mean, firstly, I think watching the Khabib fight was basically like watching a meerkat being anally fucked by a rhinoceros. It was just ridiculous. His skill, if you want to know how to wrestle and grapple, just watch him. I mean, I'm still not convinced about him. If you look at his record, it's a great record, but I think somebody put out a list. He's only fought 2 or 3 in the top 10 out of everybody that he's fought. So there's not a huge amount to go back on and say, yeah, he's fought contenders. Yeah, he's done Johnson today, but Saturday. But I still think it's too early for him to get a title shot. I really do. But having said that, the UFC have got nothing to do with that anymore. I can't see it happening in Russia. The way Russia's handling MMA at the moment with so many corrupt oligarchs running the place, I think WME might try and avoid that because it's a political landmine. So I can't see it happening there. It might happen in Dublin if it were to happen. But I think you've got to give Ferguson to him. That's the tell-all fight that everybody would really say, yeah, they're deserving of it. And it's also, in the same time, it's also a big money maker. You know, they'll both pull the crowds. Obviously not as much as Conor, but they'll pull the crowds purely because it will be the one that will face Conor. Having said all along that I don't think he'll fight at 145, he didn't look too bad at the 155 cut. I mean, he's still very dehydrated. His lips are always so white because he's so dehydrated. But he got rid of a lot of the mass as well that he'd taken up to 168. So he may contemplate that. And if they do that, then you give Khabib against Ferguson an interim chance. And then you try and max it all together so you've got belts going everywhere. Because obviously Aldo's the interim champion. So if he goes down that, you know, he could in effect say he's got 3 belts. And if he goes back and fights Khabib and takes the interim there, effectively he's got 4. So you've got both the interim and the, you know, you never know what the guy's going to do. But as far as Khabib, like I say, I don't think he's proved his worth consistently in the top 10 yet. He will if he gets another, you know, if he gets another chance. There's no doubt about it. But as far as his history is concerned, I'm a bit dubious about it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on. Next fight, Frank Yeager taking on Jeremy Stephens, and that was a decision win. It was, you know, standard Frank Yeager fight, really. But the fight after that, Miesha Tate losing to Raquel Pennington by decision, and then Miesha Tate retires, saying it was because of her performance. But look, to me, and Dave, you can start off here. To me, it seemed like it was the same Miesha Tate, just at a way lower level, right? Yeah. I mean, because she didn't quit. There was times where she could have quit. She was in that guillotine. She had to like Showtime, you know, freaking defend out of it using the cage and shit. But I mean, she still looked like she still had it, but it's just way, you know, at a lower level. And people talking about Raquel Pennington, you give her a title shot? No, not ready. Okay, but you know, she's a contender. But Miesha Tate retiring, you know, what were your thoughts on that?
I hate to say, like, I'm not surprised, but sort of like leading back to her losing the belt in the fashion that she did, I think she wasn't herself then, you know what I mean? So in this fight, totally different fight, totally different matchup with Raquel. Raquel, like you said, I agree to that. There's not really a title shot in her near future. I mean, if she strings together, you know, 2 more wins against some top gals, then maybe she's in the conversation. But with Miesha leaving and retiring, it opens up a slot for somebody, you know what I mean? Because that division is pretty slim, you know what I mean? So throw away the Cyborg matchup, all these proposed matchups that we'd like to have seen Miesha fight in. I mean, she's still very young, 30 years old. So maybe it was pretty emotional decision based on performance. I think Raquel Pennington said she doesn't agree to her decision. She don't think that she's going to actually walk away. So I believe Miesha will compete again. I don't necessarily think it's going to be like she lost a lot of flair, you know, losing on that stage. Rocky Pennington's showing her worth and that she's kind of, you know, she's there. She's coming up a little bit. So I'm like I said, not surprised that she did, you know, decide to walk away, but just on a bad performance. I mean, you know, it wasn't like she got completely mauled in there. Like you mentioned, Eddie, she had to get out of that. She tried to pull a Diego Sanchez and get out of that guillotine. So she fought tough in there. She's just a lesser version of herself, in which she's got to pick up and build herself up back again, which she has done a couple times before. So she's still got some time in her career to compete if she chooses to go that route. So other than that, it's just an open slot for somebody at women's bantamweight to rise up and take that slot, and it could be Rocky Pennington, absolutely.
Yeah, Andy, you always say that Miesha Tate has a face like Smash Crabs. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Smash Crabs. All right, Smash Crabs. You want to see her on TV as an analyst?
don't want to see her on TV at all.
Jesus.
No, I think it seems to be a thing. I mean, how many? If you're a champion that has lost a decision or lost a fight and haven't got an immediate rematch, how many champions have then gone on to win their next match, or ex-champions have gone on to win their next fight and then re-challenge for the title? I don't think there's many.
No, not many.
And I think Misha's a
GSP?
prime example of that. Yeah, exactly. But there's not many. Those are the true fighters that can come back and keep doing it. Whereas look at Holly when she beat Ronda. Next fight, lost that one as well, didn't she? I think. You've got the same with Misha. I think they all peak to get to the championship. And if you haven't got that championship mentality, you're just going to drop off. You've reached the pinnacle. You can't get any higher than that. Yeah. And you tend to lap in the luxury, lap in the fame, and your conviction has gone. And I saw she was retired before she went in that cage on Saturday night. She knew what she was going to do. And I think the performance was adequate, but she knew before she went in there.
Yeah, she kept getting tagged by that jab. And we welcome in Mr. Jesse Rubalcaba from LA. How you doing, man?
What's happening, guys?
And Mike Jarves on the YouTube says the new Butterface Queen about Miesha Tate. It's kind of fucked up, but it was mean. Yeah, real quick, Fred. As far as Miesha Tate goes, I mean that's one less star for women's MMA right now. You kind of got Ronda and Joanna, and it's kind of it.
Ronda, come on,
Cyborg.
All right, look, man. I don't know why y'all always worry about that shit, man. Don't worry about the sport having new stars. That shit's always going to happen. Y'all do realize that MMA was a thing 3 years ago before Conor McGregor existed, right?
Of course, yeah.
Like it's always going to be. It don't matter. Miesha Tate come go. It's always going to be some new star, some young girl coming up that's a beast. You know what I'm saying? As far as Miesha Tate retiring goes, like. I think that had she won this fight, she probably would have stuck around and seen if she could have cashed in on some kind of a bigger payday. But having lost it in the fashion that she lost it, what's she going to do? Hell, you can't even really sell the Cyborg fight no more at that point because she's coming off a loss to Rocky Pennington. You know what I'm saying? So, what the fuck? Who would she fight? Like, all due respect to Rocky, who's below her? Like, Miesha Tate almost is not worth her weight at that point. You got to pay her a little loot because she's famous, but she just lost to a girl that whoever she fights below her, it don't even really make sense for nobody in that. And so it is what it is. She had a real good run. She's like the fucking. Well, I guess she was the champion for a while, so she's not quite the what was that pick from the Buffalo Bill? Oh, Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly, yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't quite the Jim Kelly, but low key, always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. But she had a great career, you know what I'm saying? So fuck, it is what it is, man. She could start again, take a fight against a lower ranked opponent, get a few good wins, but does she really want to do that at this point in her career? Probably not. She's probably over it, dog. Like, fuck it. She's probably got some money and has other options. Why start below Rocky Pennington and have to work all the way up? Fuck it. Retire now. Might as well.
Yeah, and you gotta keep in mind, I mean, she was ranked number 1, and she lost to the number 8 or number 9 fighter. So there's gonna be a drop in ranking. And I think she's gonna go away for a while and do something else, and then she's gonna want to come back. That's my thing on it. And Jesse, what was your reaction there to Miesha Tate retiring?
It was surprising that she retired, but watching that performance, it was very weird. I mean, that's not Miesha at all. I mean, I had to kind of think about the way Fred described it as Rocky having that extra push, having a new girlfriend / wife in her life, and being happy and being in there. But I mean, everything that Raquel Pennington did wasn't on that level that you would say, man, like she's really piecing up Miesha Tate here. Everything that I saw was more like, man, Misha's just not there. She's not pulling the trigger. As soon as after that first round when she got hit with the jab, a straight hard jab, it was like at that moment she decided, you know what, I don't want to be in here. Like that was it to me. That's the moment it seemed like she completely decided to call it quits. But listening to her coach and Randy Couture talk about her today, I think, or yesterday, I agree with their assessment. I think that she's burnt out. I mean, having all the adulation of becoming a champion and then, having that heartbreak right away of losing it, something that she worked for, for such a long time to have it and then, it being lost so fast. It's a burnout, and then coming into this fight against somebody that's ranked so far below you, basically, and that's what happens to you. You lose. I agree with you, Eddie. I think she's gonna have to go away for a little bit. I think she's probably gonna, do this grappling match, and then probably be like a Chael Sonnen, Tito Ortiz, all those guys that kind of retire, go away for a little bit, and then they just get that fire back. I mean, she's only 30 years old. Think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still young in this sport. 30 years old. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, like she's younger than me. Like, wow, like she's still got more than enough time to reassess her career and jump back in there and get those big fights. But I think what she needs is a good time away, like maybe like nine months to maybe a year of just getting everything in her head right, maybe starting a semi quasi family with Mrs. Tate or Mr. Tate over there, and then just seeing how that flows for her. But I think we'll see her back in the sport.
What she needs is some good ass, big ass deck in her life.
I knew it was coming.
Just like, hey, listen, Misha, come let me bang you out one good time, and I'll bet you beat Rocky's ass. She was just getting that good pussy.
She'd beat her just for the fact she wouldn't want to see you again.
Hey, listen. Once she got her back right, she'd be in good shape.
But,
what up?
No. I think Fred is on a good point. I think she definitely needs like that.
The fuck?
Like, no. Not just that. I'm saying like,
hey, listen.
A good
Jesse knows what's up.
Release, like a release of like just being away from everything and just not being the center of attention. Because think about all the media she did, like not having her privacy, being out there all the time. Like you look at her Instagram, Snapchats right now, she's just having fun. She's out, exploring the world, hanging out with her friends and all that. It's like personal time, and I think that's what she wanted. I think maybe in the heat of the moment, what Joe Rogan has always said, like not interviewing people fighters right after their fight because they're so emotionally invested in what just happened. And I think that was a mistake of asking, getting her mic time and stuff, and her making that brash decision, and then in the back still having that attitude of, well, when Dana White was telling her you got to go to the hospital, and she says, F you, I don't work for you no more. It's like it all seemed like just an emotional decision of like, I'm done with this, I don't want to be here no more. So
yeah, well,
and you mentioned or Jesse, you mentioned the Submission Underground, which that will be taking place December 11th. Misha Tate versus Jessica Ai. Also on that, Johnny Bones against Dan Henderson. So I think we talked about it before, Ed. I think the fight they wanted was Misha Tate against Mackenzie Dern, in which I don't know which gal turned it down, or I don't know if it's Dern or Tate, but
Mackenzie turned it down.
Yeah, we will see Misha in just a few short weeks, so competing on that Submission Underground December 11th.
According to Chael,
Misha would have gotten wrecked. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. She would have gotten worked. All right, Dern is an angry broad. I got to see her grapple at that fight the win thing they had here, and she was not a nice chick at all. She was just a ball of anger, beating the fuck out of the other chick. All right, let's talk about Chris Weidman losing his brain to Romero. What the fuck? I mean, he hit him with a knee so hard, like explosion of blood was just out immediately. Immediately, you're just worried about Weidman being dead. 60 days medical suspension. Fred, I mean, Romero's he's primed. He's ready to go. Give him Bisping, right?
Give him Bisping. That sounds so strange, man. Yeah, well, of course. I mean, that he's definitely in line for the title shot. I mean, I kind of thought he would do it a little sooner, to be honest with you. I felt like Chris looked pretty good up until that point. But I guess that's the problem with somebody like Romero is, it only takes one split fucking second for him to fuck you up bad. Listen, he looked good. He's a dangerous ass dude. He definitely deserves the title shot, and I don't envy being Michael Bisping right now. That being said, I'm not a fan of his post-fight antics. And usually I love the post-fight antics, but I'll tell you something. It looked like Chris Weidman lost his soul. Goddamn, pouring blood like he got hit by a sniper rifle. Next thing you know, goddamn it, Gay Jesus jumps over the fucking thing. He's goddamn it, Hitler stomping around there, fucking saluting everybody.
Yeah,
like Jesus Christ himself just saluted him to fucking win. Hey, fucking big guy. If you're so big on being a fucking proper Christian, how about you go make sure that dude's not going to bleed out before you go fucking goose stepping around the fucking cage? Disrespectful. I mean, Weidman was low-key hurt bad.
It's fucked
a
up.
Tiny bit of fucking respect, Romero. The bad thing is, I don't think that he's going to get the respect that he needs to be taught by silly-ass Bisping. He's probably going to throw Bisping a beating and get that belt. But 185 is a shark tank, and I think that, you know what I'm saying, he's explosive as fuck, but he came a cut hair from getting his ass whooped by the goddamn Hitler hunter. So he's got some holes, and I'd like to see him get his ass busted.
Yeah, definitely not. And Andy, the first thing I thought about after that fight was maybe sort of Weidman was super overhyped. Did you think? Do you agree with that statement?
Not necessarily. I think he learned his lesson from that one with the Rockhold fight. I just think he's not as good as everybody thinks he is. He had the 2 wins over Anderson, and Anderson was, still, the greatest fighter of all time to a lot of people. But it's still one of those things where I just don't think he's got it. And Romero obviously is a bit of a beast, and I think people were saying, or he put a post out the other day about people complaining about his cardio. And I think like 11 of his last 12 fights have gone 3 rounds. So we can kind of put the 3-round cardio to bed. Whether he can manage it in a 5-round fight, and this is where Bisping might come into his own, is his own cardio will go for years. And if Bisping can just pick him off at a distance and run him down in the 4th and 5th round, I think he might do it. But, who knows? But whether he'll get that chance, I'm not too sure in the near future.
Yeah, and again, UFC is all about making money. So I don't know what match you would make, with Bisping to have a big money fight, other than like a Nick Diaz type of guy. But I don't know for sure. I think Romero's turn to fight for the title. Dave, with this whole thing, Romero knocking Weidman's head almost completely off. Here's what bothers me about the fight still is that the last 2 fights, or was this one in the Kennedy fight where he had that little bit of like bending the rules, as Brian Stan put it, right? With Kennedy,
they soaked him in water.
Right?
He's a cheating cocksucker.
Right. So they dried him off. The ref made him come back in. What's that?
Yeah. He did it himself. He grabbed the water bottle right as they were about to leave the cage, and he poured it all over himself to give himself that extra. What was it, like 20, 25 seconds of extra breath there?
It was a good amount of time, right? They only give you a minute between rounds, and you get 20 plus seconds more. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But
you ain't
Dave,
cheating, you ain't trying.
Exactly. But Dave, with the cheating stuff and all that, I mean, you still give him that title shot?
Yeah, fucking Yoel, man. I think Jesse mentioned it on our pre-show that he was just likely to pull some type of shenanigan, and there it was. It was between rounds 1 and 2, correct? Because where the fight changed for me was, I think it was about 2.5 minutes into the 2nd round when Yoel landed that sweet little trip, took Weidman back like fucking the Matrix. I think that was where it turned completely for him. A very interesting stat about Yoel Romero is he's had 7 fights since 2013. 5 of those fights have gone to the 3rd round, which he's finished somebody in the 3rd round, 2 of them being decisions. So the thing with that guy is you go to the 3rd round, your ass is going to get finished. So that's an interesting stat to look up. Like I said, I agree. He's the guy that's deserving of the title shot. He's definitely deserving. I mean, they set him up with Bisping, that whole little promo right after the bout. I mean, that was, I mean, that's okay, whatever. But I mean, if that's the bout they want to make, they've already set it up pretty much. Yeah, it just needs to be booked at this point. But Yoel, man, I mean, he sort of disrespected Weidman marching around like Fred said. I mean, the dude was fucking badly hurt. I don't even know how he made it to the post conference, but he was there. But Weidman was up on the scorecard. So, like I said, the 2.5 minute in that 2nd round, it just totally changed, in which I knew Yoel had something up his sleeve. And props to, I believe it was Conor Rubush, bloody elbow. I think he called the fight to the T with the flying knee via Yoel Romero in the 3rd round. So props to that. That was a great fucking call right there. But Yoel finishes you in the third round. That's all there is to it. We see him against Bisping, like Andrew said. Bisping's got cardio for days. If he's able to, to pick him apart and outlast him, I think it's a super interesting fight. I mean, we're in a whole different universe with the middleweight division. I mean, a couple months back, it was Luke Rockhold against Weidman himself to determine, who's the best. Here we are now. Bisping's the champ. He's calling his shots. Romero's chirping. And I think we have a hell of a fucking middleweight title fight, which Jacare is on the sidelines. Gegard's got his rematch this week with Uriah Hall. So there's a couple other moving pieces with it. But I think ultimately Yoel and Bisping will do battle. And I think it's probably maybe sooner than we think it's going to be.
You know what? Yoel did the unthinkable. He made me a Bisping fan. I'll be a son of a bitch if they line that fight up if I ain't going to be rooting and cheering for that cockeyed cocksucker to knock that cheating bastard out.
I like Bisping. First thing he comes out, starts fucking middle fingers off and shit. It was the best shit. You know what's fucked up about that? He went. Was it? There's video of like Bisping went, was trying to take a piss. All these Irish fans have him on fucking like. There's like 8 or 9 phones out, filming Bisping taking a piss. He's laughing his ass off. But I was like, really, motherfuckers, you gonna film him taking a piss? The fuck is that shit? That Irish thing? Fuck.
See, and it's something where this is going to be like a consistent trend for us to see. I mean, what they do with Cody Garbrandt once he got his victory, they instantly gave Dominic Cruz a spotlight, the camera, and they set it up similar to Bisping and Romero. So I thought that was interesting because it's the Fox Sports prelim. It was the headliner. So I think that's something to be said because, hey, they're trying to showcase their stars. They're trying to build these guys up. Yoel Romero is an older guy. He's been around. He's unstoppable at this point. Bisping recently said in an interview he's going to fight till he loses that belt. So I think this is going to be his toughest task here against Yoel, in which he showed that he's just an elite guy, and he's being known tough bastard. So it sets up a great fight.
Dude, I'm not convinced it's going to be tough for Bisping. I honestly am not. I think the first round or two he has to survive and just get on your bicycle, man. That's it. Run him around, gas him out. That's what I think. Jesse, what do you think about the fight there with Romero?
Well. Wasn't I the one that said that Chris Weidman is overhyped? Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I mean, somebody did. I forgot who.
Shut the fuck up.
Whatever, Jesus. Fred. Shut up.
Just because
you
got
Fred.
killed by Romero
Shut
don't
up.
mean you was right.
Now think about it. Wait. Think about this. Now he has 2 fights where all the Weidman fans are like, well, if he hadn't done that, he would have won that fight.
That's true.
Oh, well, he always keeps messing up? Is that his thing? Oh, he loses his brain in the middle of the fight and his fight IQ drops? No. He's just the guy that has caught the lucky breaks on his way up to a championship. And he caught Anderson Silva, the best fighter in that division, on a decline. That's all there is to it. I just honestly think
oh shit,
it would have been a horrible fight for him against Bisping, and it would have just made it a lot worse because you could see that Weidman started losing steam so quickly in that fight after he got taken down and started getting beat up. And to me, it always seems like Weidman comes in prepared, and then after he starts getting beat up a little bit, he starts making these dumb mistakes. He stops listening to his corner, and then he just kind of goes off of just trying to be tough. And of course, that takedown that he attempted where he, right before he got kneed in the head, that was the biggest thing. It was a, open mat takedown, no setup to it, just telegraphed it completely. And which in turn, Romero was easily able to see what was going to happen and, finish off the fight after that. But I mean, to be an elite fighter, you can't make those mistakes. Those mistakes are things that, some of the best in there are going to take advantage of. And that's the same thing with when he lost to Luke Rockhold. Rockhold is an elite fighter that as soon as he saw him make one mistake, took advantage of it, finished him off. We all know this. I mean, it's a dangerous sport, and if for a second you just kind of lose your focus, you're going to get hurt in there. So, I mean, I think we got to put Weidman kind of on the back burner, kind of let him build himself back up and build his confidence back up. I still think that he has the potential to be a very, very good fighter. I just think that he kind of got easy fights and he kind of bought his own hype of being this great wrestler / fighter that was almost indestructible. And I think he bought the hype, and now it's crashing down all over him. Losing in his hometown and everything. I mean, that must have been just horribly devastating for him. So, I'd want to see him come back. Take kind of like not an easy fight, not a gimme fight, but I'd say like a tough fight that builds his confidence back up, that he can be in there with some of the top guys and really put in the work. As far as Romero, I mean, I've been a fan of him for a while, and I think it's definitely going to be an interesting fight if he gets that title shot. I definitely think that Jacare being in the crowd, he probably was like cussing up a storm as soon as he saw that finish,
Yeah.
And as soon as he saw the interaction between Romero and Bisping, I'm sure he probably got on his phone or went up to try and tap Dana White on the shoulder and be like, hey, remember me? I'm still top guy, right? I beat that guy, a couple months ago or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that Jacare is the one that's probably going to lose out here. But either fight's a good fight, I think.
Definitely. All right. And one thing that no one mentioned even in the pre-fight shit, I'm pretty sure Yoel Romero's a gold medalist in wrestling, right?
Silver medalist.
Silver medalist? Still medalist. He medaled. That dude's a bad motherfucker. All right. Moving on to actually one of the more entertaining fights of the night. And look, Joanna was clearly better than Carolina. I mean, we can agree on that, right? Up until Carolina hurt her, put her on skates, and she was this close, man. Like, she was just this close that I think to finishing that fight. Ends up not being able to do it. Wins. Joanna retains by decision. I mean, Andy, what did you think of the fight? I mean, to me, Joanna was just that much faster. You know what I mean? Actually, no, more like that much faster. She would land, 5 or 6, and then Carolina would land like 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, Carolina's known for just doing that. She plods forward and lands a couple and a kick, and she just keeps plodding forward, which is exactly what she did. But Joanna's precision just picked her apart, basically. That was the thing. I had Carolina to win this, unfortunately, from my point of view, because I thought she would do what she almost did in the 4th. I thought she'd just walk her down and just keep coming and then just open up. And she very nearly got it. But it opens it up for a rematch in Poland, which will sell out there, no problem. And I think Carolina proved that she was a worthy title contender. Joanna was the one that, from what I gathered, was the one that told Dana White to bring her into the UFC in the first place, basically because their amateur MMA career and the fact that she's one of the few Polish decent MMA fighters. And again, she was proved right that it was a worthy contender for her. So what Joanna does next, I don't know. I think she'd want the rematch, and I think that if she's going to have it, she will basically demand it in in Poland. But yeah, I enjoyed the fight. For the first couple of rounds, I was getting a bit bored because it was just like training, sparring. But then it picked up a bit.
Right, where I was watching it with my friends here, people were saying this looks like a sparring session, and I was like, because Joanna makes people look silly. Joanna makes people look like they're going in slow motion. It doesn't even look real, Plus they're 115 pounders, and they don't have a ton of power. But Kirby, what do you think of that fight? Kirby, you there? Oh.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, Johanna's a beast, and she's obviously clearly the greatest strawweight female in the world by a long shot. Pound for pound, one of the greatest fighters, blah, blah, blah. To be honest with you, man, for me, she's kind of in that Mighty Mouse territory. She's great. She dominates her opponents. Mm-hmm. But to be honest with you, I don't give a shit.
Damn.
You know what the most exciting part of that fight was to me?
Yeah.
When she almost got knocked out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. After that and before that, if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't biting my nails. I don't know. Maybe it's because she doesn't get the finish, and if she does, it comes late in the fight. She's a volume striker, and I don't know, man. Listen, it's just not my thing, Jack. We all can't be fans of everybody. I understand that DJ is one of the greatest fighters on planet Earth. I can't get myself super hyped for a Mighty Mouse fight. I don't know what it is. He even gets some finishes from time to time. And it's not because he's little. Conor's a little guy. You know what I'm saying? It's not that. You don't have to be a heavyweight. it's just that fucking certain je ne sais quoi, man. You know, for me right now, Joanna don't got it. She looks dominant, but like I said, the most exciting part of the fight was when she got rocked. Because other than that, did she even get that close to stopping KK?
The finishing her? No, not really.
Yeah, she never had her hurt that bad, right?
No, not at all.
Well, there you go, man. 25 minutes, and she dominated the fight, but she actually got rocked the worst. You know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know, man. She's a great fighter, but like, honestly, like, what do you do with her now? What fight can you make with her at strawweight that anybody really gives a shit about? Yeah, you could do the rematch in Poland, but that's like fucking Floyd fighting Pacquiao, Jack.
That's a fight night.
Well, and after that, then what for the division?
Exactly.
Alexa Grasso in Mexico.
Hey, fucking slow it down on my girl, okay? Goddamn, she's not ready. She's not ready. What the fuck?
Some new blood, mighty fucking quick.
Calm the fuck down, man. Jesus. I mean,
but listen, that's the
Joanna
point.
goes up to be a 2-division champion.
There you go.
Now that would be insane. Like, but she's like a midget compared to those girls.
She's tiny.
It's true.
I'd love to see her against Shevchenko. Go up a weight and fight Shevchenko because Shevchenko's beaten her twice already.
That will be part of my fantasy card that I call UFC 301. Fuck it.
But see, listen, that's man, we're getting to a point to where she would almost have to do something like that, open up a 125 division or something, because what the fuck, man? She's cleaning out the division to the point to where who wants to watch her fucking other broads for fucking 25 minutes? I mean, we will. The division has to carry on, but in order to build some real hype and for her to get a payday, we got to do something with this. Something has to happen.
Right. I mean, she's got to take some time and let the division build up a little more. I can see, you know, if Rose can win her next fight, they'll probably just throw her at Joanna. But I still don't think Rose could beat her either, which kind of sucks to say. But you know, definitely not Grasso. She ain't ready, dude. Don't fucking do that shit to my girl. All right, leave her alone. But you know, Dave, with this fight again, Kirby just said it, and I was going to ask you this question, but Kirby just said it. What do you do from here? You know what I mean, like, the only option I could think of is the rematch. That's it. And even then, I don't even think that would be very. I don't think it would go much different.
Yeah, it's something where Joanna. I mean, I know a lot of these fights that took place at 205. I mean, it was almost like an immediate, like, let's run this back again. Let's run this back again. Being like the Wonderboy Woodley fight, standing out amongst the rest of them. Joanna, you know, it was an interesting fourth round for both fights back to back. Joanna dominated her, outstruck her, nearly like tripled her up on strikes. So she definitely won the fight, unanimous decision. Like Fred said, it was not really the most interesting fight in the first couple rounds. In the very end, I think Joanna or KK started to land a couple, some good shots in there, but her best moments were in that fourth round, and there were real short periods where, you know, we've seen Joanna get hurt before. I think Claudia caught her, but she looked to be, she's never been hurt like this before in a fight. She admitted that she was hurt. I think KK wore damage pretty well. A lot of gals that have been in there with Joanna come out just looking like they got fucking just straight killed in there. Joanna kills you in there. So I think KK showed that she's pretty durable, that, you know, she's more than capable of hanging in there with her. And, you know, knowing that they had some previous experience before the UFC, then it sort of leads to, you know, another fight taking place. And I think that takes place in Poland. You got to have that fight there. But coming from Joanna, she thinks that, it's something where she's always open to new challenges. As Andy said, maybe possibly a weight jump. She could be a 2-division champ. So that'd be interesting to see that play out. But contenders right now, I mean, at that division, I mean, there's Jessica Andrade, Claudia Gadelha is here at Jackson Wink training. And I think that's the fight that really we've seen Joanna pushed was against Claudia Gadelha. Yeah. She proved that she just didn't have the cardio to hang in there. And she was still able to land big shots, but KK just wasn't able to land these hard, heavy shots consistently throughout the bout. She did a great job walking her down. Like Andy said, that was a very interesting approach to the fight, and I think she did well. But Joanna, being the volume striker that she is, and just being very powerful for being a small girl, I think she just showcased what she's about as a true champion in there, going the distance against a pretty familiar foe, in which KK is super durable and she will be around to stay. And I think the rematch gets set up at some point, probably in the springtime. I think Joanna will need some recovery time. She had some pretty nasty, I don't think her nose was broken, giant hematoma. KK had some damage, but she absorbed a lot of hits and showed well in there. I mean, if you look at Jessica Penney or past opponents of Joanna, I mean, they're just completely wrecked in there. So props to KK. She showed up pretty good, but it just wasn't even close to being enough on the strike side to even get the scorecards close enough in her favor. So.
Yeah, a couple comments here on the YouTube before we get to Jesse. So Rusty on YouTube says Joanna got beat up. She's not gonna be the same next fight. That's kind of true. When champions take damage, they're not really the same in their next fight. So it'll be interesting to see what Joanna looks like. Then Mike Jarvis says Andrade will be champion soon.
Yeah, I low key agree with that. I was gonna say that's the fight to make is Andrade, and Andrade is a beast at 15.
A new challenge, absolutely. Joanna wants a new challenge from recent interviews. That sounds like that possibly would be the bout to book as a new challenger. KK on the sideline, get her built back up, absolutely.
All right, Jesse, you make that fight, Joanna against Andrade?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I think the best case scenario to do is what you alluded to earlier, Eddie, is to let her take some time off and let the division kind of flesh itself out and kind of build itself up a little bit, because you have Gadella, who just lost. Mm-hmm. You have what's her name, Rose, who also took a loss recently. And I really think that your girl would possibly be the one that has the dynamic striking and kind of the push and the cardio to kind of give her a challenge. But we need to see her kind of perform a little bit better in there. So I think those are three definite people that you could see like building themselves up, but they have to get those wins, So I think a span of like 9 to 12 months of basically the division kind of, going around and seeing who's number 1, 2, and 3. And I think you have a good setup right there of who could be, next, and then after that, because that's kind of what we have out 185, 170, 155, 145, and all the other divisions, you could point to at least 2-3 guys that are ready to go, coming up. Oh, okay, so this guy can't go, we'll put this guy in. Oh, if this guy can't go, we can put this other person in, and you have all these different options, and I think that's what we're looking for here in this division. How many times did you guys see the fights, by the way?
How many what?
How many viewings of the event did you guys do?
I watched it twice.
I'm on like 3 or 4.
Once.
What is it? No, but I did twice.
What'd you say, Fred?
Once.
I like to go back and watch it a couple times, and one of the ways I like to watch it is without the commentary. And you guys like totally drank the Kool-Aid, the Joe Rogan Kool-Aid, because throughout.
Oh, here we go again. Everyone's bitching. He's so biased. Fucking, of course.
But listen, if you listen to that fight and the Woodley fight, all right, it was so heavily that Joanna was basically like untouchable God in that fight. Like even when she got damaged, like they were like, oh, okay, she's fine, she's gonna recover, she's gonna get back in there, and it was like making up excuses for something that her opponent was doing to her. And I think in that whole fight, KK actually held herself pretty well. Her strategy was really interesting because she was pushing forward, rolling with the punches, and not absorbing a lot of damage. That's why she wore the damage well. Because every time Joanna was able to, put some damage on her, the most damaging shots were the leg kicks that she was finishing her combinations with. Everything else, if you go back and watch that fight, she was rolling really well with those punches. Kind of like who is it? The Diaz brothers. They kind of have this ability to when they get hit, they roll with the punches so they don't take as much damage. It doesn't seem like they're taking. It seems like they're getting punched, but they don't take as much damage as their opponent is taking.
Jesse, a good example of that just happened a few weeks ago. Ferguson and RDA. Ferguson.
Yeah, exactly. Ferguson really impressed me in that fight because of the fact that he's evolved his strategy, because he knows his weakness. His weakness is he has a reckless style and he's going to get hit. So he evolved his defense of, absorbing the shots and not being hit straight on. And I think that's what was interesting about this fight. As well with the Woodley fight, I mean, both of those guys' strategies, Carolina's and Woodley's strategy, was just so impressive to me. And it kind of irked me a little bit to hear that, you know, the commentary was so one-sided on both of those fights, because I think there was a lot of praise that you could throw on Carolina and Woodley in those fights, because they did exactly what they were what a lot of people didn't think they could do, which is, you know, put a lot of pressure on the champion, or in Woodley's case, you know, put a lot of pressure on, you know, his opponent to take the title away from him. And I know we'll probably talk about it later, but I think Carolina in a rematch, I think it's actually in her favor that she would win that fight. Was in there with her, she didn't have a lot of damage, and the best that Joanna had to offer. And I think in a rematch, it bodes more in her favor, Carolina's favor, that she learned enough that she already knows what she's in for. And I think in a rematch, I think that fight would look a lot different.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and also,
good.
wait, worth noting, I don't think Rogan's the only guy that's done that biased commentary. I think the Kui and RDA fight, Brian Stan was all over fucking Tony Ferguson that entire fight.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So we're accusing these guys of being human beings? Oh, they're fucking bad, motherfuckers. You serious? I mean, can we get over this whole bias shit? Like, I understand what you guys are saying, right? But the judges aren't sitting there with fucking headphones. You can mute your TV. I mean, come the fuck on. Just like Jesse said earlier, you know, there's an unfollow button, right? There's a mute button on your controllers, motherfuckers. Chill the fuck out. With
There's no mute button where I was watching it live, okay?
Then you weren't drinking enough. You did not drink enough, sir.
I'm watching it with a crowd of people, and I couldn't even hear any of the after fights stuff. So all I could hear was Rogan going, "Oh, she's winning this fight. She's running away with this fight." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, man? Like, what fight are you watching?"
Hey,
stop jerking off, Joe.
He's not there for us. He's there for the Bud Light fans. Okay, settle down.
No, Eddie. I totally understand that. I'm just saying that his job is he's supposed to give everybody those dumb, you know, tap out shirt wearing dudes an unfiltered, unbiased opinion, and giving both of the competitors the equal amount of respect that they deserve. If you're not doing that, that's disrespectful to the opponent. I mean, you're not giving that person their props for what they're doing. You know, you're just kind of basically saying, they're just in there just to be a body and they're getting beat up, and this is easy, an easy win for the other person. And then, as we saw, Carolina was able to hurt the champion and kind of mount a good attack, even though, you know, like I said, the commentary there was still one-sided, and I was like, come on. That's just all I'm saying. I agree with you. Yeah, mute the TV. Yeah, don't do that.
At the same time, they asked a comedian to do commentary for fighting. All right, that's all I'm saying. Brian Stan, kind of, sort of.
Listen,
what?
You want to change the commentary? Hit that bitch in the mouth.
There you go.
And she did, and it still didn't change. Whatever.
All right, whatever.
No, she did it one time.
Yeah.
I've seen people get fucking punched harder on a bar on the east side.
All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got 2 more fights, and we're gonna get into some topics we need to move. We're gonna have to move through quickly. So these next 2 fights, I mean, they're pretty much self-explanatory. Oh no, never mind. This was controversial as fuck. Woodley retains his title on a draw that he thought was a win. Right? Did you guys see his face? He thought he got Steve Harvey for a second when Bruce Buffer. Yeah, but I mean, like, but I mean, what do you think? The difference here with that, Steve Harvey named the winner, and it said a completely different chick was the winner. Right? This is a little different. He said, you won, but no, now it's a draw, but you still don't lose your title, right? Woodley's eyes were like, motherfucker, you got to fight me for this belt. You got to come get this belt off of me, motherfucker. You know? He was freaking out. And so, Fred, what did you think of the fight, and who did you score for?
What a bunch of bullshit this whole lot was. First off, I scored the fight for Woodley. Mm-hmm. I thought that, well, it was the 4th round, right? It was like a 10-8 round for him where he was just fucking dropping fucking Wonderboy. Yeah. I don't know, man. Listen, I'll admit, I do not score fights with the 10-point must system. I just don't do it. I score it more like an old school pride fight where I just kind of tend to watch it and just gauge who I feel like is just winning this fight by what I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at the end of the fight, I felt like Tyron had won it. He hurt Wonderboy on several occasions. He was landing some nasty ground and pound. Visually, Wonderboy looked like shit. And listen, I wanted Wonderboy to win. I'm not a huge Woodley fan. I thought that Wonderboy was going to land one of his great kicks. He didn't.
Yeah.
Fucking Tyron inflicted way more damage. I suppose you could, give a couple fucking rounds to Wonderboy, but I just thought that Tyron won the fight straight up. You know what I'm saying? And the whole debacle at the end was just a little silly. Like, they didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I mean, I don't blame Tyron. At first, they're like, "Yo, split decision, you win." And then it's like, "No, it's a draw." But you can keep the belt until Conor needs it later. We'll get to. But
yeah. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say that the fight for me, it was an excellent fight. I'm real impressed with the way Tyron Woodley just rose up, in which a lot of people counted him out against Wonderboy, and I think that all changed in the first round when he was able to get him to the ground, and that sort of made Stephen Thompson hesitant to throw those thunder kicks or try to throw a sharp strike to put him out. So Woodley was fucking impressive in this fight. I mean, he did some damage in the first round. The second and third, I think a lot of people gave to Thompson. Fourth round, clear 10-8 round. Fifth round, I mean, I had it, Woodley winning that fifth round, in which the 10-8 round seals the deal either way. So Wonderboy, though, man, he just didn't. I mean, he was sort of, like I said, he was hesitant. Therefore, Woodley, I think he decided he wanted to just stay on the feet and try to finish him. And when he had those two knockdowns in the fourth round, he caught him the first time flush, and as he chased him down, he caught Wonderboy flat-footed, and that's when he really landed a killer shot against the fence. So. And he said that he sort of like woke him up with another shot as he was on the ground.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
It happens a lot, and you can clearly see it. I mean, if you go back and watch the fight, I watched that one a couple times back, and definitely had it for Woodley. Wonderboy showed that he's officially a KTB, a known tough bastard, because that guillotine was deep. And, man, did he take a beating before that guillotine, ending the round on top. But I think Woodley could have probably taken him down and probably pounded him down a little bit more. But I think he just wanted to prove that, he's up to par in striking with Wonderboy, and he could stand with that cat, in which not many people have shown that they could. So props to Woodley, man. We all counted him out. We all picked against him, I believe. But Wonderboy Thompson, if that's the rematch they want to do, he's a bit banged up right now. So that's where I kind of see that, possibly that 3-belt Chapo chase with Conor McGregor and Tyron Woodley. Kind of, the stage is pretty much set. They've already laid the foundation for that one pre and post fight. So I looked at that for that to be the next matchup for Conor. So I know we'll get into that more, but super exciting welterweight title bout. You couldn't ask for a better matchup. But Tyron Woodley, he's a true champ, and if he's going to take out Conor and he wants a money fight, he wanted a money fight before. He's just coming off a big stage, a UFC 205, kind of getting fucked in that whole little Steve Harvey shitfest after he actually won the fight. But going forward, you've got a money fight lined up, and it's definitely going to be Conor.
I don't know. If they make that fight, the Conor better drop that 45 belt. I think that's just what's got to happen. So, Andy, in your eyes, what do you think went wrong for Wonderboy?
He took his time. He took too long. I mean, he was switching stances and finding his distance throughout the first round and basically doing absolutely nothing. And I think he, as we'll allude to in a minute with Alvarez, he got his strategy completely wrong. I mean, it proved one thing. It proves that he's got stamina. Everybody said that he'd never been beaten up before, and he'd never done this before, never had been in danger before. And he's been beaten up. He'd been put in submission holds that very few people thought he'd get out of. And he managed to sustain all those. But he got his tactics wrong. He should have been a lot quicker with his known movement, with his feet and with his hands. He should have been kicking out and throwing all this stuff pretty much from point one and put Woodley on the back foot. As it was, all that reaching out and distancing and switching stances, all it did is just allow Woodley to get his distance just as much as he was.
Yep.
And he paid for it because, when those rushes started coming in, as everybody knew they would, eventually he clipped him. And that led to his downfall. But if he'd have been a lot quicker with his, his karate kickboxing style, rather than, because I saw so little of that at any point, and he could have. I mean, he tried one sort of, reverse heel kick, and a couple of others, but there was no spinning stuff in there that Woodley would have been. Whether that was his plan, like Woodley's expecting it, he's been training with Northcutt and everything else. I don't know, but he should have done that from like straight from the first round. He should have just been out there kicking all over the place and just putting Woodley on the back foot, and he didn't do it.
And that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought for sure he was going to come out and just fire away. and you know, and basically kind of like blitz on Woodley and get Woodley to, you know, think a little too much. But Woodley looked calm in there. He was like, all right, cool. You know, I know what you're gonna do. So it was a trippy fight. You know, Jesse, do you want to see the rematch, or should we move on the one from the should we move on to another bout as far as the 170 belt's concerned?
No, I think that it definitely deserved a rematch. Okay, so I guess I'm the only one here that's going to say this, but so I ripped up my ticket because I had Woodley winning. I ripped up my ticket as soon as the fight ended because I thought Wonderboy did enough to win. I had him winning 2-3 and round 5. Okay. And I didn't give Woodley that 10-8 round that a lot of people gave him in the 4th round just because of how that round ended with Wonderboy back on top, doing
how long was he on top? How long was he on top?
The last like 10 seconds of the round.
But the rest of the other round was Woodley fucking him up.
Nah, it was the last like minute and a half, I think it was.
Okay.
Where he got clipped, he survived. Woodley got on top, did a little bit of ground and pound, which is where I thought that was going to end. And then with the sweep and everything, and then the choke attempt and everything, I think that's where Woodley lost the steam for me. Because to me, a 10-8 round has to be the duration of how much damage they're doing. He did a lot of damage, but it didn't last long enough, in my opinion, to bring it down, which then he got reversed. Then he started getting pounded on the last 10 seconds. To me, that was just basically, it nullified what he did in that round. And if you look at the first 2.5 minutes of that round, I mean, it was basically the same thing as the other rounds. It was, you know, Tyron Woodley backing up against the fence, getting Wonderboy to come to him, and basically him trying to gauge his distance that way, which was really, really smart. I mean, I heard Joe Rogan keep complaining about that Tyron Woodley kept putting his back against the fence. And I was like, if you look at what he's doing, he's making him come to him. And he's not, even though he's not giving himself the space to move out of the way, that's not what he wanted to do. He wanted Wonderboy to come at him. And then when, you know, they exchanged, he was able to have that distance perfectly placed. It was a great strategy. But again, in my opinion, I think I thought Thompson did enough to win those 2 rounds and that 5th round, which, you know, if you go back and look at it, I mean, you could almost call that a 10-10. I mean, nobody really did anything enough to really signify who was going to win that fight. And to me, that solidified for me that Thompson, you know, basically was able to win that fight because he was still in there attempting to finish, and Tyron Woodley was kind of more backing up, you know, just trying to be in survival mode. I mean, it kind of seemed like he ran out of steam in that 5th round, or he just thought he had it sealed up, you know?
Yeah, and Jesse, I think, I mean, I like that analysis of you giving Wonderboy the 5th because a lot of that contributed to Tyron exerting a lot of energy late in that 4th. So he said in post-fight his arms were dead 2 minutes, 3 minutes into that 5th round. So Woodley,
yeah, plus after.
Yeah, because Wonderboy came on very strong in the 5th round. I think around like the 3-minute mark on down, he was very strong in there, in which Tyron sort of like fires back in the last couple minutes. But I can see that argument where a lot of people gave either Wonderboy or if it's a 10-10. So I'm with you on that, man. Because yeah, Tyron said his arms were fucking done in the first.
Well, yeah,
minutes,
and then that guillotine choke, or the choke that he attempted. I mean, he was squeezing the life out of Wonderboy, attempting to finish it off. And he just couldn't do it. And I mean, I totally got scared after that because I was like, oh my God, like he's going to gas out his arms. And then the 5th round, you know, Wonderboy's going to take advantage of that. But I think he had enough damage on him that Wonderboy just didn't have enough, you know, extra in the tank to be able to finish the fight. Going back to that, though, I think if we're still doing the cunt of the week, it has to go to Doug Crosby giving Tyron Woodley a 10-8 in the 1st round and giving him a 10-9 in the 4th round.
It's Jonathan Snowden every week. It always will be.
No.
It's just
come on.
No. Every fucking week, it's Jonathan Snowden.
If you cannot justify a scorecard of a 10-8 in the 1st round, and then you give him a 10-9 in the 4th round where he was much more dominant, what the hell is that?
he must have had too much of a close view of Wonderboy's face getting battered in that first or something like that, because that's fucking outrageous. Yeah.
Oh no, what it was is he saw Ray Longo and he was like, "Yeah, that's your guy. I'm gonna go against him every single round, and I'm gonna call it against your boy."
He's got beef with Longo, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He does. He does. So I mean, that should be the cunt of the week. Honorable mention, Snowden, but
Yep.
I think that's the worst possible thing that you could do as a judge, is be biased and have something against somebody to the point where your judging skills are called into question every time your name is brought up there. A 10-8 in the first round, that's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't even know how you could ask him a question and he could justify that 10-8.
Yeah, no and look, I had it for Woodley, and I thought it was a clear win for Woodley. I didn't think at all it was like split. I thought it should be unanimous. Because Wonderboy's game plan I couldn't even tell what his game plan was. It looked so broken. It was almost when like if you're watching a YouTube video and your internet connection's shitty and it's choppy as fuck. That's exactly what my mind. The only way I could analyze what Wonderboy was doing. He looked nothing like he does in his other fights. I mean, the second you think he's about to throw something like some crazy and spinning shit like I was expecting from the get-go, he wouldn't do it. He got shy. You know what I mean? And I know Woodley after the fight was talking about, I was telling him, you're about to do a little spin thing, huh? You're about to do this, huh? I don't know, maybe Woodley got to him with that or something, but it just looked it was a weird fight for me to see from that.
What happened there is, if you go back and look, Woodley tricked everybody. He said he had Sage Northcutt as his training partner, blah, 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 but he did bring in Raymond Daniels. He did bring in other high-level karate kickboxers, and what he was doing was, if you go back and look, every time that it looked like Wonderboy was going to settle in and attempt a combination, in that half step that he would take, Tyron Woodley would throw something, even just a jab or a kick or something, and he would stop him. Like, he knew enough that if he let Wonderboy throw one combination off and start that combination, he knew he was in trouble. So he knew at that half step to just go. And that's what I think was so impressive from Tyron Woodley, was that he was quick enough to be able to counteract that speed that Wonderboy had.
Yeah,
that's a good point. All right, let's talk about what Fred Kirby came to talk about. All right, Conor McGregor makes history. 2-division world champion, lightweight, featherweight champ. Pieced up Eddie Alvarez. I mean, he was surgical as fuck, and I hate to give McGregor credit, and I don't want to take away credit by saying Eddie Alvarez fucked up, because he did. But I mean, Conor McGregor he wasn't even worried. He just, I'm gonna fuck him up every time it comes in. So, Mr. Kirby, the floor is yours. What do you think of the fight?
Listen, without fucking doing too much boasting and bragging, what more needs to be said, right? I mean, Conor looked fun. Look, all bullshit aside, going into this fight, I was a little worried, man. I didn't know if Conor's power would necessarily translate. Eddie Alvarez is not an easy guy to hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know that he'd be able to do that, and I certainly didn't think that he would make it look that easy. I thought that he would have the edge, technically speaking. I did think that he would be the better technical striker, but I thought it would take him a lot more to wear Eddie down than to knock him out. I mean, Conor looked fucking super impressive.
Yep.
Super fucking impressive, man. I guess you could say that maybe Eddie had a bad game plan, but I'll tell you what, man. I think what you're starting to see with Conor McGregor now is the Mike Tyson effect. I think after Conor landed that first straight left that dropped Eddie, that was all she wrote for Eddie and his confidence. I think after that moment, Eddie was, mentally defeated and kind of out of that fight. He sure seemed like it. I mean, he took a couple big swings after that, but he never really committed to any takedowns. It felt like after that happened, he was like, I'll be a son of a bitch. He did it. Yeah. He rocked me. He hits real hard, and I didn't see it coming. And it felt like he just kind of talked himself out of it at that point, man, because Eddie's a super tough guy, for Conor to make it look that fucking easy. Now, all that being said, here's the fucking interesting part about all this. What the fuck do we do with Conor McGregor now?
Exactly.
So, in my opinion,
I've got a few suggestions.
Shut the fuck up. I know you got a few suggestions with your fucking... You gotta be fucking thankful that it actually happened, English. He's fucking came and revived our sport. breathed some life into it. If it wasn't for him, that card would have fucking sucked.
Well,
Now,
it wouldn't, but
you know, it would have been the great. Listen, you don't want Wonderboy and Tyron Woodley as your main event. I don't give a shit what nobody says. There was no specialness to it. So, for me, with Conor, it comes down to one major thing off the rip. Is he going to give up that 45-pound belt or not? If he does not give it up, if he decides to keep it and try to defend both of them at the same time, down to 45, right? Like, if he decides to try to keep the belt, he absolutely has to go to 45.
He's got to defend it.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to keep it, he's got to defend it. And it's been way too long without defending it. Jose's there. That has to be the next fight if he wants to keep that belt. If he does not keep that belt, then you obviously got two, you know, options. You could have like Woodley at 170, but I think that's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's either Khabib or Tony Ferguson. And listen, they both deserve it. So one way or the other, one of them is going to get the shaft. El Kukui, I don't particularly like you. And you're not as big a draw as Khabib is. Your problem is you keep your mouth shut.
Yep.
And you didn't get the fucking finish. So you're not the front runner for that fight. Bottom line, you're not. Khabib looked super impressive. He got the finish. And not only did he call Conor out, he called out all of goddamn Ireland. That's how you do it. Ireland is a bunch of goddamn skinny chickens, and there's only fucking 6 million of y'all. There's 120 million Russians, and we wrestle bears. Damn fucking fight. Now, this is what this is what I would do with Tony Ferguson as a complimentary type thing, because you know he's going to be salty. He's not getting the title shot. What I would do with Tony Ferguson is I would fucking give him Nate Diaz, with the winner getting a guaranteed title shot.
Nate's gonna piece him up.
Of course he is, because fucking Tony
Ferguson.
Ferguson.
There's not enough money in it for Nate. Nate wants the money fights now.
Yeah, he's right. Nate's not gonna take that fight.
Listen, I'll bet you he does if they fucking give him a blank fucking check.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta pay him. You gotta pay him.
But they won't. Yeah. They won't for that.
Of course they will, because what's that do? Listen, we all know that Nate's going to fucking throw fucking El Kukui a beating. Listen, you do not waste a Conor McGregor fight on El Kukui. I'm sorry, but you don't. Agree. It's not the money fight. If we can get him beat somehow, we do it. And if Nate Diaz does the beating, even if fucking Khabib wins that fight, Nate Diaz and Khabib is bigger business than anything El Kukui is going to be involved in, man. He just don't got that star power. And hell, even when he's got the opportunity to run his mouth, he says shit like, "Deuces, I'm out of here."
Yeah, he just bails.
Not a good move, man. Not a good move.
As much as people don't want to accept this part of MMA, it's changed. You got to talk. You got to say something. If you don't say anything, you fucked up. Especially if you win your fight, you got to say something and get yourself out there, friend.
Listen, the only way you can get away with not saying nothing is if you're murdering people.
Or you
I don't give a shit about his exotic weirdy beardy style. He needs to be fucking
weirdy beardy coming from sleep. You. Yeah, righto.
My beard is beautiful. He's disgusting looking.
Looks like somebody rolled your face in glue and put it in a bag full of pubes.
Oh, stop it. My beard fits it perfect.
Oh, shit. That's the perfect way to describe it. I'm sorry.
And then I guess to add what Kirby was saying with the Mike Tyson reference, I mean, what does he say? Everybody's got a game plan until they get hit.
Yep.
Exactly what happened to Eddie Alvarez. I mean, who would have thought Dennis Seaver would have hung in there stronger than Eddie Alvarez against Conor? Different weight class, of course, but Conor went in there, stunned him early, like you guys said, and it pretty much. I mean, I thought it was fucking crazy what Eddie Alvarez said post fight. I think Megan O'Leary did the interview. And she's asking him about the fight, and all he remembers is like he doesn't actually remember getting hit. He just remembers flashes and seeing Conor, and like he said that in the post interview. So that's fucking nuts, man. Because like that just proves that just Conor hits hard as fuck. He was unexpectedly tougher than he thought, and in which no game plan. There is no game planning for Conor McGregor. He's the ultimate guy. He gets in your head, Eddie Alvarez, did he even shoot for a takedown or one or two? Conor stuffed him like
they were the weakest fucking takedown shots ever. But at that point, he's already hurt. He was already rocked, but he was also scared shitless.
Yeah, see, so Conor had already gotten into his head, as he's done many of his opponents. Dustin Poirier, like I said, I mean, who would have fucking thought Dennis Siver would have hung tough in there with old Chapo? But hey, man, fucking Conor is, you know, Mike Tyson. He's got the GSP comparisons. People are talking about that, but Conor's Conor. He's nothing like GSP. He's nothing like any of these guys. The only other superstar that they're thinking, you know, is bigger than McGregor. That's, you know, we all know who it is, and she's got to win a fight next month to kind of. You know, she's the next star. She's another star in the UFC that's just as big. So, but Conor
go ahead, sorry.
Conor in the meantime, I mean, holding 2 belts. I mean, he's already, like I said, laid the groundwork for a Woodley fight. I mean, it pretty much played out exactly to like his favor, where, you know, Woodley didn't get the finish. He fought a tough fight. He is healthy though. That's why I think that fight could brew up, in which they may make that return to Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. So I'm kind of thinking Conor's not going to sit on the sidelines too long. I think his demand on for shares in the company, I think they'll settle up with him, and if they do it like in the spotlight, like everybody knows, and it's like a big thing, that's the proper way to do it. But hey, if they're gonna go the route of just like, you know, giving him shares of the company and taking it from his fight purse and shit like that, I think they could work that out and actually get him taken care of, in which he's gonna produce. Nobody's done the shit that this guy's done. I mean, he's calling his shots. What was that tweet that he tweeted up from 2014?
2 years ago. Oh yeah.
2 belts and shares in the company, and I mean, and here we are, man. So history was made last Saturday. So it's really Conor has all the chips in his favor, and he's calling all the shots. The next move's on the UFC WME at this point.
Now, Andy, what did you think of the fight? And two, with everyone's, you know, I mean, now we said it twice already. Maybe vice to that 170 belt, right? That's. I mean, let's say he wins that 170 belt. Chill the fuck out, Kirby. Let's say he wins that 170 belt. That's giving Conor way too much power, right?
I can't see him beating. If it was to be against Woodley, I can't see him beating him, to be honest. I mean, if you're looking at skills and movement that is unsurpassed in the division, Woodley's just taken that guy apart in his own division. So, you know, nobody kicks like Wonderboy, nobody moves like Wonderboy, nobody, you know, can provide the series of combinations that Wonderboy can do. They're all similar things that everybody says about Conor, and look what Woodley's just done to Wonderboy. So I think that's pushing it a little bit too far. As far as the fight at the weekend is concerned, I think, again, I hate to use the word masterclass, but he did. He just did everything perfectly. I don't like the guy. He can go back to Ireland and munch on as many potatoes as he likes, the little goblin. But
hey, Andy, there's one guy who believes Conor can beat Tyron Woodley, and he happens to be the #1 pound-for-pound guy that's ever fought. So that's what he said via tweet. John Jones believes that.
Fuck John Jones. No, look. John Jones.
He's been on his funny pills again, hasn't he?
Thank you. That right there. That right there. That's exactly what I was gonna say. In the way worse words.
No, he wouldn't. I honestly don't. Especially after Woodley's performance, when everybody, you know, including most of us, didn't give him a chance.
I think
Wonderboy was supposed to be too good for him over the distance. So no, as far as what he does next, who knows? Who fucking cares? I mean, he's going to get what he wants, whether we want it or not. So it just makes absolute no point anybody arguing and discussing what's next for the potato goblin, because he'll get what he wants. If it means that they'll defer 145 again or whatever, they'll do it.
Okay. Listen, I agree with you, English. It doesn't matter, and you know, there's no telling what he's going to do next. But just to put a bow on this, and for the sake of argument, if we all had our druthers, what fight do you put Conor McGregor in next? Starting with English.
What fight? I would like to see him do what he should do, which is go down to 145 and defend it against Aldo. That is still the only option I can see him taking if he wants to keep, you know, this reputation as a guy that fights anytime, anywhere, at any division. Yep. Because he can't hold that division up any longer. It's what is it, a year now? Yep. So if he's got to defend it, I don't think he'll want them to take. He'll be arguing like shit with them about taking the belt off him if he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. That's what's going to be going on behind the scenes. And if they force him to take the 145, which again we don't know if he'll get his way or not, that's the fight I'd like him to see. Whether he'll go down to that weight again or not after having gone up to 168 is a different thing. Because like I said before, I think it was before we came on air, he still looked dehydrated when he came in at the weekend. You know, he's got that white chapped look on his lips. His body is so devoid of water. And can he take any more muscle that he built up to go up to 168 off to come back down to 145? I don't know. But he's never missed weight yet. So if he thinks he can do it.
That's the thing.
Yep.
Eddie. Dream scenario,
man.
you pick. Who's he fight next?
Shit, Jose Aldo. I think he should fight Jose Aldo to defend that belt. Now I want to see Jose Aldo not, well, maybe he's still scared shitless. I want to see Jose Aldo not looking like the moment's getting to him and like his head's like full of all the Conor talk, shit talking and everything, and actually go in there and see if he could look like Jose Aldo against Conor McGregor. What I think is going to happen, I think, here's what's going to happen. One day we're going to get ESPN breaking news. Conor McGregor fucking drops a 145 belt. The next day, Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz 3 for the 55 belt. I think that's what's going to happen.
Fair enough.
But I want to see Aldo in there.
Right.
I think I got to go with. We talked about it once or twice on the show before. Big show in Ireland. Conor and Khabib. The war breaks out in Ireland, and nobody makes it out alive but Conor with 2 belts or something like that. Hey, they can make that show happen. I mean, if that's not the fight, Conor would be a straight gangster to go down and fight Aldo at 145. So I would love to see that happen. But we're right back to where we were post Conor beating Nate for the second time, because there's all these options, all these moving parts. We're right back to where we were back in, August. So we're right back in several options and money fights on the table. But I'd love to see Conor go to 45, and that'd be straight G if he ends up going back down and starching Aldo one more time. So,
Jesse.
I think what Andy and I both agreed upon last time we talked about this, I think it's an easy decision for Conor. I think he probably has already made the deal behind the scenes, but Conor is all about the show, all about what he presents to people out there. And I think what he's going to present to everybody is that he does not want to give up the title, blah, blah, blah. They forcibly took it from him, but you know what? Screw it. Let them fight over a fake belt, blah, blah, blah. I'm just sticking to the 155 and I'm going to fight Khabib. I think that's probably the most high profile fight you can do right now. I don't think he's going to make as much as he's making right now fighting Aldo. Because again, Aldo, he already beat him, and Aldo hasn't been doing enough to put his name out there to solidify himself as a money fight. More or less, he's kind of made himself less valuable to Conor by attempting to retire, attempting to do all this other stuff. I think that brought down his value.
Yeah, throwing that fit that he threw was bad.
I think he followed our advice, which we charge a minimal fee from now on to give advice to fighters, and just taken Max Holloway or one of those other fights and solidified himself as a champion, that would have forced Conor's hand much better than what he's doing right now, which is just kind of sitting on the sideline saying, I'm ready whenever. That's not going to happen, man. You need to make a statement and make yourself be the guy that Conor basically has to answer to. And right now, the only person that did that is Khabib. Khabib is the one that called out his country, which is where it hurts him the most. That's where it hurts him the most, where you insult or talk about his country, his pride. I mean, that's where he's going to lean towards. He's going to be like, well, I got to shut this guy up. And I think he drops that 145 belt. I think it's already a done deal, and I think we're going to get a big show about this, about how he didn't want to drop the title, blah, 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 blah.
See, and if he does, I mean, quickly. We talked about Khabib being like a pullout, like he fucking fights once every Star Wars movie release. So that's not true, because Khabib now knows that what he's got to do. He's proven it through his record. He's proved that he can hang in there with Michael Johnson, one of the top strikers, which is going into the fight a dangerous matchup for Khabib. Like I said, he passed with flying colors. Sort of the same matchup with Conor. I think it was sort of a test to where, hey, you got to show up and make weight and talk on the mic, talk and shit to Dana White. He did everything he needed to do to put himself in that fight. And I haven't heard Conor actually say anything about Khabib other than just some Mayweather shit that was going on today. But Conor and Khabib, that beef's going to happen real soon, and that fight happens, absolutely.
That's the fight. That's the fight. I think that the reason that fight is the fight to make is because I think most people would agree that those are the very best 255ers on the planet. Even going into the fight with Eddie Alvarez, you would have had a whole bunch of hardcore heads that would have been like, nah, Nurmi's the guy at 55, has been for years. So I think if they line that fight up, we get very rarely, it's almost like the John Jones DC thing where you're like, okay, yo, whoever wins this fight is definitely the king, bar none, of this weight class. I think that Nurmi and Conor do that for 55, probably in the biggest way since BJ Penn. If they line that fight up, whoever wins that fight will be, king shit at 55. Who's going to compete with them after that? You know what I'm saying? It'll be that BJ Penn-esque fucking record.
And then I guess Ferguson's going to have to go on like a 15-fight win streak, and eventually he'll make his way up to a title fight.
You know what? I got to go, but giving you that last thought here, I think, like we were saying, I think it's a new era, and I think you really need to put out a statement and make people fight you, make people want to see you fight. And I think Ferguson doesn't help himself by being the way he is of, kind of being nonchalant, having the fancy glasses and stuff, and kind of being a total douchebag around reporters and stuff, and just not selling himself. They gave him the opportunity to say something, and he didn't take it. Khabib, on the other hand, put on a great performance, had been talking all this time, and then went out there and said, hey, it's my time. I need that title shot. And I think that, like you guys were saying earlier, it's a new era. You got to sell yourself. You got to WWE yourself out there. You got to want to make people care about either you fighting for a title or getting into a position to fight for a title. Because I think WME and now the UFC is more dependent on what the fans want, because they want to make their money back. And I think if they hear that the fans want a certain fight, they're going to do what it takes to make that happen, so they get all those views, all those pay-per-views, all that stuff. So I think that's the new era of the UFC, is sell yourself, sell that fight, and make that money.
All right. Well, I guess we're done with 205 here. Let's talk a few topics here before we go.
All right, boys.
Jesse, you have to go?
Yeah, I got to bounce, man. I got a lot more deliveries to do, so.
All right, Jesse.
There's probably a bunch of there's a bunch of parents probably wondering where their diapers are, so I got to go take care of that.
Later, bro.
Oh, shit. All right. You can follow Jesse. You can follow Jesse at Spawat 1983 on Twitter, and tweet him about his deliveries, because it'd be kind of funny if you're one of those parents, especially, just fuck with him on there. Anyway, moving on. Just a couple things here before we get off here, because we've been on for quite a while. Conor, what we were talking about Conor was who? Jesus, this list is actually pretty short. We talked about almost everything. Okay, well, let's talk about the last thing here. Ronda Rousey. Of course, Dana White wants to bullshit everybody. I know. It's quick. Dana White wants to bullshit us like Ronda Rousey is the biggest star in MMA, and she's clearly not. You got to give that distinction to McGregor at this point. But if she comes back and wins, beats Nunes, gets the title back, is she a bigger star than Conor McGregor? Let's start with Andy here, since he was so excited to talk about this.
No, she's not. Coming back and winning one fight. They'll go, oh yeah, she's been out so long, and after that beating she took, she's risen to the challenge, and it will be all hype. But the fact she was piggybacked off of the McGregor weigh-in the other day, or whatever it was, and I don't know what her problem was, but she stomped off before Joe could actually say anything to her. But it's she's spending all her time doing talk shows again and doing all exactly the same shit that fucked her up in the first place. Yeah, she seems to. She's still with bloody Edmund. She's not learned a damn thing. And if she's going into the sport after so much time out, and that sport would have just progressed, in degrees that she's not been in the gym. Well, even if she has been in the gym with bloody Edmund, she's learned fuck all. But
she's not good. Yeah.
She can't expect to just roll in and take the belt, which is what she appears to be doing. And that's going to be the biggest mistake she's going to make. So, no, she's not going to win the title. She's not going to be the big thing of the UFC all over again. And she's going to go back to movies and fucking sucking off Travis.
Yeah, Dave, same question. Is Ronda Rousey a bigger star than Conor McGregor with a win?
Man, I mean, kind of, sort of. I mean, she's got. I mean, Amanda Nunes fucking is gonna, probably give her the toughest fight she's ever had. Let alone the Holly Holm kick heard around the world, history being made, all that good stuff. But Ronda definitely is just not. This fight is not just penciled in for her to just go in there, walk out with the title like everybody thinks. So I think Amanda Nunes probably beats the shit out of her, honestly, because Rousey's already talking that this is like her last fight, or this is like
put out the door.
Yeah, so it's like when you hear that type of talk, I mean, when it comes to Rousey, I mean, look at what happened to her coming off a loss. I mean, being she did take some time off, which was very necessary. I mean, she's coming back right for the title, no tune-up fight, a lot of pressure on her. So,
do you know what? I think it was a question of they just threw so much. She didn't want to come back. They just threw so much money at her that she couldn't refuse. I think that's what's happened. She honestly, in her head, I don't think she wanted to come back.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, yeah, she's going to be well compensated, well paid for the event. She's going to go on to other fucking movies or sitcoms and shit like that in the future. We all know that. That's like sort of the future leading for, a lot of different MMA stars in the UFC specifically. But with
especially
Rousey,
now with WME.
Yeah, with Rousey coming out with the win, yeah, she's still a huge star. She's got to come back and beat Holly at some point if that fight does present itself, because it's just like, erasing that Al, just like Conor did, but in a different way. And then she's a woman in a man's sport, you know what I mean? So it's got that factor where, she started this shit up. They gave her the belt. So it's a pretty big thing for her, you know what I mean? She's got these a lot of media outlets, a lot of things that a lot of people that cover her and on the reporting side and all that. She'll open a lot of doors, in which she's opened plenty of doors for women's MMA and for MMA in general. So she's got a fucking hell of a task. So with Amanda Nunes, and that card's going to be very interesting. It's stacked up nicely. I got Nunes, man, but Ronda Rousey goes in there with that killer judo game and that that submission game. Like Fred said, he loves it when you see fighters go in there that they got something for you, and if you can't stop it, then that's MMA. I mean, it's a free flowing sport, and I think Robin Black talked a lot about it recently on a Fight Network segment. Broke it down perfectly, in which the Wonderboy fight, the Woodley fight applies. Conor McGregor directly applies. It's just a free-flowing sport. Ronda goes in there and snatches a limb. That easily could happen as well, but it's a lot of pressure, a lot in the moment for Ronda. So that's why it's going to be really hard for her to overcome a tough Amanda Nunes with just so much on the line. For her, and retirement talks, all that type of shit. So
yeah, but the last time she tried that armbar, what happened? The last time in a fight she tried that armbar, what happened?
Yeah,
it didn't work. So, and
if
that's the only tool that she's got, and that's pretty much at the point where Ronda just looked at herself in the Holly Holm fight and just went, "What the fuck's going on?" It's like that's her only tool, and if you can just get out of it or find a way to just, she's easy, she can't strike.
Which I
Everybody
think
knows she
Nunes
can't
will.
strike.
Yeah, because I think Nunes has got the striking advantage, absolutely. And then when it goes to the mat, I mean, Nunes is very capable of.
She's got a ground game. Holly didn't.
Yeah,
Holly got out.
Exactly. And if Holly did have a ground game, she probably would have punished all these gals. But she came from a boxing background, so we talked about that before. But Rousey being a bigger star than Conor, only time will tell. She's got to get in there and get a couple wins, in which she's saying 1 or 2 fights, and she's out 1 foot out the door. So I'm not liking her chances as of right now.
All right, Fred Kirby, talk some sense.
Listen. We are in America, except for that poor prick wearing his pink shirt across the pond. And over here, everybody loves a goddamn winner. Okay? The question is, will Ronda Rousey be more popular or a bigger star than Conor McGregor if she wins? The answer is fucking unequivocally no. The reason why is because Conor just won. Now, had Conor got starched and then Ronda Rousey came out and got a first-round armbar, this is a whole different scenario. But because Conor won and fucking made history and has 2 belts now, I don't give a shit if aliens come down with Ronda Rousey. She will not be a bigger draw than Conor after that fight, no matter what happens in that fight.
Tough to top.
Now, if she wins and Conor gets fucking the dog shit beat out of him by Khabib, or Jose Aldo knocks him unconscious or something, and then Ronda wins her next fight, things change. You're only as good as your last fight in MMA, man. And Conor's last fight, he made fucking history in Madison Square Garden. It's going to be hard for Ronda Rousey to top that in any capacity. So here's the deal: until Conor loses, no.
Yeah.
Period.
No, and I'm with you. That even then, like, I'm not buying that Ronda wants to fight. I'm with Andrew on this one. I don't think she wanted to fight. I think she's got so much money there. Like she's like, oh shit, I can't say no to that. I think she's gonna have this one-off, dude. I think it's a one-off fight. I think she's done after this. I think win or lose, she's done.
My point is, it doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Even if she wins, as far as her and Conor goes, until Conor loses the fight, pass him. Not again. Not with where he's at now and where she's at. She needs him to lose, and she needs to win if she's ever to take back that stranglehold of popularity. And even then, maybe not. But, like, you know, a loss could devastate a motherfucker. So
yeah, and apologies people on YouTube. My phone like fucking died, and I just turned it back on. So there's a lot of comments I'm not gonna get to, but I got to get to this one. Mike Jarvis says simply, "Fuck off, Andrew." On your Ronda Rousey, analysis.
Knew that was coming.
He can cry into his Rice Krispies as much as he likes. He's getting battered.
Oh, she probably is too. All right,
Dave, probably about it.
Yeah, right. No, look, the way I see it is this: is she's coming in with one foot out the door, and Nunes can strike, and she's got a ground game. I think it's gonna be a weird looking fight. That's just me because we don't know what to expect from her anyway.
2 rounds will be over. Yeah, 2 rounds.
Damn. All right.
It'll be the quickest comeback in history.
Yeah. All right, Dave. Fight bookings.
Fight bookings. Okay, let's start with worth noting. Happened today. News found out Roy Nelson suspended 9 months for the whole kicking down McCarthy, so he'll be out. Machida.
You know what? Yeah, but no. But you know what he said about that? He goes, "Worth it."
Hey, yeah. Well, if that's the way he feels, I mean, Roy don't give a shit. Roy, well, everybody knows Roy. Dana don't like Roy, and Roy's getting a fucking equal suspension as Johnny Bones. So, Machida out 10 months for his. I mean, I think is he out 10 months or 18 months?
18 months.
Backdated,
18 months. Time out. Okay. 18 months for admitting to something. Not even testing positive. Just admitting to some shit.
Well, we'll never see him again. I guarantee you.
Oh yeah, he's done. No way.
The UFC did announce UFC 210 that'll be taking place in Vegas March 4th. Also worth noting, Chad Laprise was pulled from UFC 206 due to injury. Oluwalu Bamboze was dropped from the Joe Gelati fight. One of your guys down there in Phoenix, Eddie. So Bamboze, I think, dropped for, I don't know. He was a partner of, I don't know if he got flagged for steroids or if it's USADA, but I know USADA claimed a victim earlier this week. So
his teammate. Yeah, they're boys, and they're in that same picture looking jacked as shit. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, see, so he's off the bout now. Strangely, he's off the card, and there's a
probably stabbing each other in the butt.
And then just to mention UFC 206, it's been rebooked. We know about the Cerrone situation, so Jackson Wink is rolling deep up to Toronto, as you got Cub Swanson versus the Korean Superboy, Tim Kennedy, Rashad, Cerrone versus Matt Brown, and of course Lando Venado will be competing on that card as well. So it's going to be great. UFC 206 is building up very nicely. A lot of people were talking shit about that card, and it's a fucking stacked card. Go take a look at it from top to bottom. It's very stacked. Also, Rustam Kabilov from Jackson Wink MMA will be on the card. So 5 different Jackson Wink guys will be taking a trip up to Toronto.
Can you get that trip comped?
I'm working on it right now.
You should fucking do it. All right, that's like half the fucking team. Get your shit comp right there, man. They got money for that. Don't fuck around.
Yeah, has Korean Zombie got a fight booked yet?
Oh, I thought he did, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought he has a fight booked. I can't remember what card it's on though.
Oh, please let it be seen.
Yeah, it's something where I don't think it's on any. It could be on a fight night card though, I think, but I don't know if it's been officially announced. But adding to that too, also Holly Holm is in talks right now. She should have a fight announcement within a couple days. So they have something worked out for Holly. I've been hearing. So look for her to be back in it. Probably January. I'm hearing is what's going to be the card. So
for Holly Holm, did you say against who?
Heard a couple names, but nobody official, and I'll know soon who it is. It could even be, I think, by Friday. I think they like to announce a lot of shit on Fridays. So when we're doing a breakdown for the 2 cards this weekend, I know we got a lot of action. We'll find out who Holly Holm's fighting in that time frame.
All right, and Korean Zombie is not booked. I just looked that up. So
okay,
I thought he was.
There we go.
So there's a guy.
And let's not forget UFC 209 Brooklyn, February 11th.
That is such a miss. That's some bullshit. That's a miss. All right. Fuck, Dana White just had to stick up his ass about the Diaz brothers. All right. That's some bullshit. You don't even have to make that a Stockton. First of all, I wouldn't book jack shit for Stockton. All right. I've driven through there. I didn't even slow down. All right. I ran every red light I had. It's a fucked up place to go. All right. Legit. Make it in San Francisco, make it in LA, doesn't matter. They'll travel that fucking 6-hour distance, doesn't matter, right? But doing it in Brooklyn's bullshit. All right.
See, and that's kind of where I think the Woodley fight could happen with Conor. I mean, it's real soon, but it's fresh on everybody's memory. Everything that happened at MSG, moving on over to the Barclays Center, very nice venue. Pack that son of a bitch up and let's do it for 3 titles. So that's the way they want to do it. That's the money fight. But that's the only reason I see that fight happening, because it's still New York. You know what I mean? So, and of course we do have UFC Albany coming up with our man, Ngannou, who's going to fucking, lay claim to the heavyweight division here very soon. So be on the lookout for that.
I'm waiting for him to test positive. That's all I'm saying. If he doesn't, that's like the real life Hulk, right? Except not green, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. He doesn't make any sense.
Close.
Him or Romero don't make any sense.
You're on being racist. Come on.
He's sort of like a
I'm brown. I'm a darker shade of white, all right, and a lighter shade of black. So I'm like right in the middle. I can get away with most shit. I'm just saying.
Anti-green protest will be after you now.
Well, fuck them. I don't care. We're in Trump's world now. I can say anything I want now. I mean, technically, unless it's about Trump, then I'm kind of fucked.
Right.
So, anyway, all right. If that's gonna be it for tonight, fellas. Thanks everyone coming on. Thank you for watching. Georgie. I know Mike Jarvis was on there. Rusty was on there. Appreciate everyone watching. You can follow. I said Jesse's at SWAT1983. Kirby's at Kirby_MMA. And the boys are back. The Stand and Bang radio. What's it? At Stand, letter N, Bang Radio. Follow those guys.
That's it.
They had a show this last week. Find them. I think if you go on your Twitter, you can probably find a link for that YouTube. And I think you guys do it every Sunday, right?
Yep. Sunday nights, man.
All right, so Sunday nights, hit him up on YouTube. It's they're funny as fuck. Of course, Dave is at Dave's MMA Brief, and Andy doesn't give 2 shits if you follow him or not. So,
I'd rather you didn't, to be honest.
Yeah, he almost prefers you don't, because he doesn't want to. Look. Oh wait, time out. Before we end it, because Andy's on here right now. MMA Cut of the Week. Once again, Mr. Jonathan Snowden wins that honor for going back and forth with our own Andrew Reed. And I actually saw the tweets back and forth. That shit was hilarious. All right. I mean,
he's honestly, until that guy dies, he's MMA Cunt of the Week. Even if he's not covering MMA, he's going to be the MMA Cunt of the Week. Yeah, he's just a fucking retard.
Yeah. The one tweet that annoyed me, he is a troll, but I mean, the one thing that annoyed me was that he said jiu-jitsu is like judo without
without dynamic throws.
And I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, do you even train? I don't even think he trains, but
he does. What is it? He's a lawyer. He's an ex-marine. He's a black belt in fucking God knows what origami and he's a prick.
Yeah.
Don't get me because we're just about to end the show, so fuck it.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, all right. So that's our MMA Cut of the Week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Friday night we'll be breaking down the main cards because we have 2 UFC cards this weekend. We got Invicta this weekend, or Friday or Thursday. Anyone know? That's a Friday card, right? Invicta?
Friday.
Invicta's Friday. Bellator's Friday. Benson Henderson against Michael Chandler. Do not miss that fight. All right? You got a former UFC champion against a badass Michael Chandler. People don't want to talk about him enough. Dude's a bad motherfucker. And then, of course, UFC Belfast is in the morning and Sao Paulo's at night. So, and Andre Ward is fighting this weekend. My favorite boxer. I'm watching that shit.
Fight.
Yep. Oh, Lion fight, yeah.
Lion fights this weekend.
Lion fight. So if you're one of people exactly. If you're a huge fight fan, just order pizza and just sit at home and maybe shower in between fights or something because it's gonna be a long fucking weekend for you. All right. So anyway, thanks everyone for showing up. Thanks everyone watching, and we'll catch you guys on Friday.